Dear YouTubers, humanity, aliens who live on this planet, welcome to Real Turkey channel, which is an English language YouTube channel which explains the facts about Turkish economy, Turkish politics, and foreign policy affairs. I'm Attila Yeşilara, the loving, caring presenter of the Real Turkey channel, and today we're going to talk about our president, Mr. Erdogan, and how he is destroying the Turkish economy. First of all, I'm going to show you that the economic confidence of Turkish people are at historic lows. There are almost no Turkish citizens who believe that the economy will get better. And that we owe largely to Mr. Erdogan and his completely silly, nonsensical economic policies. There are many of those, but I'm going to cut this video short, say about 20 minutes. So I'm going to talk about his order to Turkish Central Bank cut rates at the most inopportune time, then how he tries to resolve Turkey's food inflation problem, and finally his lasting legacy of turning Turkey into an official mafia state. Not personal opinion again. The Organized Crime Global Index, I hope I'm pronouncing the name of this institution right, has declared Turkey one of the few mafia states where the state is actually collaborating with the mafia leaders to make money out of it. Okay, let's look at Turkey's economic confidence. This poll is published about a week and a half ago by internationally recognized and licensed polling agency Istanbul Economic Research. It's in Turkish. And the question on top is, how would you assess the conditions in the Turkish economy as of today? And look at the red line on top. 69%. 69% think that briefly the economy sucks. 18% seem to be happy with their lives in the sense that it's not getting better or worse. And the thin green line at the very bottom with 13% next to it are the lucky few who think the Turkish economy is performing marvelously. Marvelously. Okay, well, that I blame on Mr. Erdogan, but one may argue objectively that not too many economies are doing well in year 2021 because of the pandemics and related supply chain issues as well as climate change. Okay, that's fair. So once again, revisit the poll by Istanbul Economic Research and look at the answers to the question, will Turkish economic conditions improve in the next 12 months? The red line at the very top says 48% of the population think it's even going to get worse. Now, I wish I could put these two together on the same frame, but I'll have to switch. Let's recall the game here. 69% think the economy is doing poorly right now, very poorly, in fact. And next year, 48% think it's going to get even worse. That's just an astonishing accomplishment by Mr. Erdogan, who is currently lagging only Biden in opinion polls. Going back to this picture again, only 24% think that economic conditions will improve in the next 12 months. That's only 1/4 of the population. How about the remaining 28%? They think life is going to be as usual. That is, it's not going to get any better. So 48 plus 28, that's 76% of the people think Turkish economy is not going to improve in the next 12 months. As you know, confidence is the most important ingredient of consumption and private fixed investment in a modern economy. If people don't trust their future, they're not going to buy new cars, they're not going to buy new houses. If businesses don't think economic conditions will improve in the next 12 months or so on, they'll probably put a hold on their capex spending. That's on their spending on new factories, new machinery, new technology, and also new employment. So essentially, there is proof here that Mr. Erdogan has completely destroyed confidence in Turkish economy. Now, you may argue he may not be the sole responsible person here, but I'll, refer you to my past videos, and there are about 185 of them, which show that Mr. Erdogan is the only decision maker in Turkey. This is a one-man rule country. Mr. Erdogan's word is law as far as the economy goes, as far as the judiciary goes too, but that's really not our topic today. Since Mr. Erdogan claims all the credit for anything that goes well in Turkish economy and politics, I think it's also fair that he should be blamed for all the illnesses and weaknesses of the Turkish economy. So here I really demonize the president, and I am sure you would want some proof that it is his policies that are destroying the Turkish economy. Here is a chart which says analysis. Eye on polls, Turkey's Erdogan may regret rate cut he pushed for. And I have put the source and link there. This is an article that appeared on Reuters 3 days ago, which is the 7th of October. And the summary is that Erdogan essentially controls monetary policy in Turkey, not the Turkish central bank. And he's forcing the governor, Professor Kavcıoğlu, to cut interest rates prematurely. His point is that if you have easier financing, the companies will export more, lending will improve, which would stimulate demand for durable goods and houses. Is that true? No, because Turkish interest rates are already historically low in real terms. Currently, headline inflation, CPI, consumer price inflation in Turkey, as of September, is running at an annual rate of 20%. Before this video, I called my bank and said, look, I want to put my money in Turkish lira deposits, savings. What is the interest rate that you offer? Their annual interest rate is only 16.3%. So you have headline inflation running 3% ahead of the rate offered to depositors. In other terms, the real interest rate is negative, which gives people really no incentive to save. And they don't. They save in terms of dollars and euros. They buy gold and put it under their mattresses. Or there is a huge housing boom, simply because it's so cheap to get a mortgage loan that essentially the house self-finances in 10 years or so. Now, this is a devastating article because if you read the entire article, several economists, roughly 10, had warned Erdogan that it's not the right time for rate cuts. There is really no reason, economic reason for rate cuts. Now, for those of you who are interested in economics, I'm sure you will agree with me that currently the hottest topic in financial markets is stagflation, which is an economic condition where the economy grows very little, but there is either very high or accelerating inflation. In other words, Turkey is an island surrounded by an inflationary ocean. At a time like that, when even Fed is considering reducing its asset purchases, which is actually a tightening policy, to fight inflation, we have 20% inflation and Mr. Erdogan insists on cutting rates. Central Bank of Turkey cut rates in September by 100 basis points, and today, Governor Professor Kavcıoğlu hinted again at an investors meeting there that more rate cuts are forthcoming. I read research by international houses. Let me not name names here in case I misquote them. But the most optimistic scenario is for the central bank to cut interest rates by at most 50 more basis points. On the other hand, there are respectable institutions which predict that by the end of the year, Turkey's policy rate would be 300 basis points lower. And I'm sure those of you in financial markets or who have a background in economics will understand that the currency weakens when most major central banks are thinking or conducting monetary tightening, while Turkey is cutting interest rates despite rampaging inflation. This is the mistake that had brought Turkey to the verge of currency shocks and balance of payments problems in the past. Once again, I've shot so many videos about those, just click any and you'll see me ranting and raving about Erdogan's misguided view of monetary policy. The second thing is food inflation. It's a problem everywhere. Today, I think Food and Agricultural Organization announced its new price data, and it claims that its measure of agricultural index, a food commodities index, has reached a 10-year high. To recall, 10 years ago it was 1911, the year of Arab Spring uprisings, and one of the main reasons is that for poor countries in North Africa, the poor population in most Arab and Turkish countries and in Turkey, food was becoming unaffordable, and people revolted. This is why food is also expensive in Turkey. In addition to that, you can check my recent video, Turkey's Annus Horribilis, the terrible year, where I explain drought, several natural disasters, and man-made mistakes have caused a shortage of agricultural products this year. Finally, Turkey is a main food exporter, so the supply doesn't satisfy domestic needs. Obviously, the answer would be structural reform of the agricultural sector or more subsidies to incentivize more production next year. Nope. That's not how Mr. Erdogan's economic theory works. According to him, food prices are high because Turkey's retail chains are gouging prices. They're fixing prices. Now, I'm laughing because to an economist, the retail food market is the most competitive, both across the world and in Turkey. We have at least 5 top-tier national franchises, hundreds of medium-sized regional franchises below them, and if you have visited Istanbul or the Aegean coast, which is where most tourists go, you would see that at every corner you would have a corner store, ma and pa shop, a butcher, a greengrocer. So essentially, people have an incredibly wide choice of food outlets, which makes collusion on prices impossible in the sense that if I think one of the supermarket chains is selling tomatoes, one of my most favorite vegetables or fruits, at an exorbitant price, I'll simply go next door to a smaller market. If I don't like their prices, I'll go to my corner store. And there are always street hawkers who sell tomatoes, potatoes, onions. So it's ridiculous to blame food inflation on supermarket chains. Essentially, if you talk to any economist, they will agree with me that food inflation is a result of insufficient supply, Turkish agriculture not being productive as European counterparts, and the drought. And really, it takes time, patience, and subsidizing food prices to deal with this problem. But Erdogan likes to punish people for his policy errors, so these 5 national chains are currently being audited by inspectors from the Trade Ministry to make sure they are not fixing their prices and sucking the lifeblood of Turkish people. When these inspectors didn't really find much evidence of price fixing or exorbitant prices, Mr. Erdogan wasn't still satisfied and he decided to do what Maduro did, which is, open food co-ops, state-run food shops. He's going to license 1,000 food stores owned by a state co-op across the nation to add to competition and reduce prices. This is the silliest thing he can do, simply because at the very best it will cause a shrinkage in the food retail industry with thousands of employees being put on the street, and one of Turkey's most efficient industries losing strength. Finally, since Mr. Erdogan is the king and the emperor in Turkey, the businesses don't like to cross him, so they'll lower their prices. Guess what they're going to do next? You will see lower shelf prices, but they'll pay their suppliers late, or they'll ask from their suppliers for a price cut. And the suppliers, since they have nowhere else to sell their stock, will say, yes, sure, no problem. They'll go back to farmers and say, look, I can't pay for your crop right now. You have to wait 3 months. Or look, onions, $1, I can't pay that price anymore because supermarkets have reduced my profit margins. So I'm going to give you only 75 cents per kilo of potatoes. At the end, Mr. Erdogan's mistaken policy will cause more farmers shuttering their farms and moving to the cities, which means even less agricultural production next year. This is as destructive as an economic policy gets, but this is nothing compared to what Mr. Erdogan has achieved in the last years, 10 years. He turned Turkey into a mafia state. And here's the source. I'm sorry, I really forgot to link the source here. But if you Google search Turkey Mafia State, you will find a lot of reliable references. Essentially, I'm quoting from a report by Organization of the Global Crime, or Organization to Measure Global Crime, which shows that Turkey is one of the states, along with Yemen and Syria, that has given wide license to mafia to trade narcotics, for human trafficking, and for weapons trading. Turkey, according to the report of the Turkish Police Narcotics Division, has become the main supply center of cocaine for Middle East and Europe. And God, we're so far away from the fields of Colombia and Peru, where the raw material, coca leaves, are produced for cocaine. So how does it get there? How does a fairly advanced and sophisticated country like Turkey doesn't intercept drugs at the border? Very simple, says this crime index. There is complicity between the state, that is, the AKP government, and the mafia. Essentially, if a tanker which carries illegal narcotics dock at a Turkish port, authorities make sure it doesn't get inspected, and whatever narcotic is stashed at the bottom of the tanker is safely distributed among the consumers who have been waiting for their next fix. But this is not the only aspect of Mafia State. Mafia has also become the most favorite conduit of AKP to deal with dissidents and its antagonists. Finally, AKP members, along with corrupt civil servants, are usurping companies, property, intellectual property by using the mafia. The deal is very simple. Let's say these AKP members have targeted a certain hotel which does good business with tourists. A few hitmen from mafia would go there, talk to the hotel owner and say, look, the price for your property is $10. Sign here. If you don't sign, we'll come to visit at midnight and it's not going to turn out too well for you. These are the realities of Turkish economy. Dear viewers, let me show you a final time what I'm trying to say. I am making the assertion that the weakness and collapsing state of the Turkish economy is not due to any major internal or structural problems, but to Mr. Erdogan's politics. And I showed you the economic confidence indices, which show Turkish people and businesses losing confidence in the economy, not only now, but for the next 12 months. And since Erdogan is the kingmaker, he should be held responsible for the mistaken policies. There are many things he does wrong, but I cited three egregious examples here. First, his predilection for premature rate cuts. The interest rates are too low to support the Turkish currency or to suppress inflation. Two, he doesn't understand that food inflation is a global phenomenon which is compounded by Turkey's drought this year. And he's trying to solve the problem by punishing retail food chains which, reduce their prices but don't pay the farmers. And his lasting legacy, Turkey is now officially a mafia state according to international organizations that collect data on such issues. And you know how things work in a mafia state or in a mafia neighborhood. You have no incentive to work hard because they'll collect protection money, and you have no reason to broaden or expand your business because they'll come and take a certain percentage of your turnover. This is the state of affairs in Turkish economics. Attila Yeşilada is saying goodbye on behalf of Real Turkey channel, and of course the standard mantra: if you like us, share this video with your friends. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye bye now.